Hello, everyone. Hello, YouTube. Hello, Instagram. I think I have everything working so that we are live on Instagram and on YouTube. So you may see me looking up and down because I have my phone propped on top of my laptop so that I can see on Instagram and on YouTube. I particularly like to do this on YouTube because it just saves the video really nicely and all that kind of stuff. Okay, so welcome everyone. I'm Mary Wilson. I teach online book clubs for kids during the school year. And one of the classes that I began teaching that I had no idea would become just the amazing class that it has become is my weekly graphic novel book clubs for kids. Even I, when I started these, just wasn't aware of just the amazing discussions we would get into and the ways that we would analyze these graphic novels and the variety that we would read together. So I really do love this class. I had a great time putting together a new list of titles. Somebody asked me if I repeat graphic novel titles or are there plenty out there? There are plenty out there. I already have like 5 on the list for the next year because I came across them this year and was like, oh my gosh, I can't fit another title. All right, so the graphic novel book club, I have 8 to 10-year-olds and I have 11 to 14-year-olds. They meet for half an hour every week on Tuesdays, and we discuss a different graphic novel each week. In general, the 8 to 10-year-olds and the 11 to 14-year-olds read the same graphic novel. Graphic novels are awesome no matter what age you are. Occasionally, I run into one that just seems a little too young for the 11 to 14s or seems a little older in terms of the plot, the content, maybe even the illustrations for the younger group. And so I will pick 2 different ones. So I will make sure that I mention that as we are going through these. All right. Making sure everything is here. And I'm going to go ahead and get started. All right. Let's get started. All right, so we're going to kick off this year on September 10th. And on September 10th, we are going to read, oh, I bet this isn't flipped on Instagram. I don't think I can flip it while I'm live. So, oh, can I flip the camera? No. We are going to read Ember and the Island of Lost Creatures. This was a new graphic novel author that I found this summer. And he has another good one too. And I had to pick. And this is the one we're going to start with. All right. If you are on YouTube, you are getting to see it forwards. But Instagram doesn't do the automatic flip. All right. The next one. Art Club. Loved this one. I can't say too much about them. I'll flip through them a little bit so you can see the type of illustrations. But this was a really fun one too. Obviously, about art, the importance of art. Okay, I love to pick during the year a few novels turned into a graphic version. And first up, we have Escape from Mr. Lemoncello's Library. We are going to check out the graphic version of this book, which was particularly fun for me because we did this as a summer book and movie club. And so it'll be fun for the students who are in that, who happen to also be in my graphic novel book club. They'll get to see yet another version of the retelling. Okay. Next up, whether you love him or whether you hate him, and my graphic novel club has a lot of opinions about it, we are going to read another one of Nathan Hale's Hazardous Tales, Cold War Correspondent. I did make a note this year. When you sign up for Graphic Novel Book Club, you will get a list with the dates of all the graphic novels. And I did make a note this year for people who are new to Nathan Hale that you might want to go back and read One Dead Spy. You don't have to, but that's the first book in the series and it helps you get to know the narrator. But here we are, Cold War Correspondent. You can read it on its own, but I do think it's helpful if your child has time to read One Dead Spy and get to know the narrators and how it kind of works. And then you can read all the rest in any order, but those same narrators show up. All right, after One Dead Spy, we're going to have a week on October 8th, where each group is going to read a different one. So the older group is going to read Duel, about these sisters. And yes, it involves fencing and it involves a duel of another type. Maybe a sisterly duel. This one, I mean, I feel like I could say on all of these, this one's a ton of fun. Oh, this one was so fun to read. Of course, I'm looking for things that make the graphics different, that make the stories different, because everyone's not going to love every graphic novel in the pile. Like I said, I already have people with very strong opinions about Nathan Hale. But I want to have at least something in there that grabs everyone. The younger group, that same week that the older kids are reading Duel, the younger group is going to read Sparks. This one was a big request. I had this one show up more than once throughout the year when kids tell me graphic novels they want to read, and on the form that I give them at the end where they can request titles. All right. Next, we will all come back together on October 15th and read the same title, Things in the Basement. This one was very curious to me. Ben Hackey, we've done some of his. I really like his work, graphic novels. He did Little Robot. He's done other ones. Isn't he Zeta, the Space Girl? I'm sorry, I'm looking for it on my shelf. I believe he's done Zeta, the Space Girl. So I wasn't sure about this one for the younger group because, you know, things in the basement can be a little creepy. But I read it and I was like, nope, this actually turns out, even though some of the images are a little, this one turns out to be really adorable, cute, fun story. I'm looking forward to this one. All right. And another great thing about graphic novel is if you're in the book club, you can look up the authors and grab some of their other books, even if we're not discussing them. So it's opening up your child who loves graphic novels to so many more titles than just the ones we read. Okay, let's keep going. On the 22nd, are we both reading this? Let me see. Yes, everyone is reading Continental Drifter. All right. Story of a girl born, I need to remember where. She spends most of the year in Bangkok, but then spends some of the year in Maine and doesn't feel like she fits in either place. She goes to a summer camp in Maine and they spend the summers there. So it's kind of her story of her identity, finding herself. And then we have another one that was a huge request, and that is Middle School Misadventures. I had not read these. I loved this. I thought it was so fun. Think a little, maybe like Diary of a Wimpy Kid. Very fun. This is a whole series. So if your kid ends up liking this one, you have lots to read. So there we are. Then we have, okay, I'm doing, oh no, we have a little while before I get to that one. Let me move this pile over. I have piles here. Next, we're going to separate again, and the 11 to 13-year-olds are going to read by request, Play Like a Girl. I had not read this one before. I felt like maybe it was just a little older on the content. So the younger students, by request on their list, are going to read Investigators, Book 1. So another fun one. It's a series. So if your 8 to 10-year-old loves this one, you've got tons for them to check out. All right. Next, we have Squire and Knight. This one was really different. The graphics were kind of unique. Kind of like Nathan Hale does just black, white, and one other color. This author did too, but it's very different. So I have a feeling we'll talk a little bit about those color palette choices, kind of like Nathan Hale does, and how they liked it in Squire and Knight. Not Squire. I think I said Squire versus Knight at the beginning. Squire and Knight. Okay, next, a beloved graphic novel author. We read Guts last year, which kids were not thrilled about all the images of puking. This year, we're reading Sisters. This is a fun one, and it kind of goes back and forth. If I recall correctly, yeah, it goes back and forth in the timeline a little bit. And I really, really enjoyed this one. So I can't wait to discuss this again with both age groups. And then we're going to do, I'm going to get these out of my way a little bit. Then we're going to do another nonfiction series that the kids have requested. I've never done. I've done Nathan Hale every year. But this year, we're going to add another nonfiction series, I Survived. And the first one in this series is I Survived the Sinking of the Titanic. All right, I'm checking. Sorry, I'm just checking YouTube real quick, making sure there's no chat over there I'm missing. Okay, I survived the sinking of the Titanic. I wondered if this would be a little much. I mean, people drowning on a ship. But it's a very well-known story. A lot of kids have requested it, and I thought it was handled well graphically. So we are going to do this in both age groups. And again, if kids like it, you got a whole series to look forward to. Then we're going to have a Thanksgiving and winter break. What is going to be different this year, if you are a returning student that I have not done in the past, is we are going to stop on 11/26. So we are going to actually meet the Tuesday of Thanksgiving week on Tuesday, though. And then we are not going to meet again till January. I know it's a really long break. It is done for me. I am still a homeschooling mom, and I still have one child who does not drive. And so I am still a chauffeur. And this past year was really hard because that homeschooling child joined a basketball team. We had no idea what that would entail. And my husband took a lot of time off to be helping with the chauffeuring, which was fine. But December was a really intense month. So I'm going to take a much needed break to help drive my son all around town for basketball games and let you all enjoy the December holiday season. You won't have graphic novel book club, but it will come back in January. And on the 7th, we are going to split again because I found this one, which was really interesting. Welcome to Feral, Little Town Big Scares. And it was like 5 short stories with kind of like interesting endings, like little twists at the end. I don't want to say much, but I did think while I would not call it a scary book, I thought it might come across that way in the 8 to 10-year-old group. So instead of reading that, the 8 to 10-year-old group is going to read The Magic Treehouse as a graphic novel version. So we're going to do Dinos Before Dark and get to enjoy this one together that week. So I'm really excited about that. All right. Now, this next one I'm doing with both groups because of how unique it is. It definitely is going to be way on the younger end in terms of the writing. So I'm going to encourage my older students to really look at the unique design because someone has taken poetry and done a graphic novel version to kind of use that, the artisticness of the graphic novel to write poems. So again, very simple wording and language, but a unique way to kind of show poetry. So again, this one, probably your early readers could enjoy this one. So we're going to focus. The poet is using that graphic layout to help tell the poems. I just thought it was just really different. I couldn't resist. All right, after poetry comics, everyone is going to read Kay is in Trouble. This one was also new to me, and I'm interested to see how like they like kind of the sense of humor in this story and where it goes. I enjoyed this one a lot. And I'd never heard of it before. In fact, a lot of these were new to me this summer. Are they new to everyone else or is it just me? All right. After Kay is in Trouble, I'm sorry, I'm looking at my book list over here just to make sure I'm getting it all correctly. And I don't have, oh, then I go down here. I've got books everywhere. They're like piled all over. Okay. Next, we have Saving Sunshine. Another one that was new to me this summer, about a girl's kind of getting teased, all right, and kind of her struggle in dealing with that. They take a little trip, and her brother, I think it is, who've been having a hard time, kind of reconnect. You have to, excuse me, I read all of these in the last like 2 months. So some of the stories are like starting to blend. Okay. I'll just keep piling over here. Next, I'm really excited about this one. Again, we've already done 2 nonfiction with Nathan Hale, and then we did I Survived the Sinking of the Titanic. Normally, that would kind of be enough, but I found another nonfiction series, and boy, I had a hard time picking which one to do. But because this title was specifically requested by a student, we are going to do The Way of the Hive. And I've got to tell you, homeschool moms, you would love this one. Okay. Little B has such humor. So you're learning all about the life in the hive, the way of the hive, and how it works from the perspective of the bee. And it's like funny and informative. Loved it. And this author, he has another one too. I mean, I think he might have a few, but I know there was another one. I was like, oh, I want to do that too. Again, next year. Next year. All right. Next, we have Squished by Megan Wagner Lloyd. She also wrote Allergic, if your child has ever read that. So they're going to see that kind of same art style throughout here. But this was fun. This is just a big family. And yes, they are squished in the house, and middle children are squished in the middle and all kinds of squished in there. So this was a really fun, just like family life kind of graphic novel to talk about. Okay, the next one I do not have. And I meant to print out a picture or something, but I'm not going to be able to. But one of you out there, and I think you might be watching, requested, and oh my goodness, I hear this series all the time, not just in graphic novel, but in fiction book club. But the graphic novel kids are the ones who are going to get to do a version of it. And that is Warrior Cats. The reason I don't have it is it's not being released until July. So I have pre-ordered it, but it's not coming in. And there's a few, if you type in Warrior graphic novel, you're going to see a few different things. I actually had to ask the student's mom to confirm with the student, like, am I buying the right thing? It is Warriors graphic novel, The Prophecies Begin, #1. So even though the other ones that are there are like prequels, I see someone just screamed. There you go. One of those Warrior Cat fans are happy. So we are going to do The Prophecies Begin, #1 graphic novel. It comes out in July, so you can pre-order it, but I can't show it to you. Both age groups are going to do that one. All right, next, Witches of Brooklyn. This one was really fun. This is about a girl and her aunts. And there's, of course, magic. So another fun one that both age groups are going to do. Didn't I tell you I'm going to keep saying fun one? Like another fun one, another fun one. They're just all fun. I should stop saying it. They're fun. They're informative. They're artistic. They're beautiful. They are all the things. Okay. Then we're going to have spring break. You're going to notice on the schedule this year, there are 2 spring breaks. And just as a joke, because you all get me and my humor and your homeschoolers too, the first spring break is for my high schoolers, my high schooler. And then we'll meet again. And then we have another spring break for my college students. Life of a homeschooling mom with kids spanning the ages right now up there. Okay. So after Witches of Brooklyn, we've got another very popular series turned graphic novel, like very popular series, Keeper of the Lost Cities. Now, this is interesting because Keeper of the Lost Cities is such a huge book, like huge. I have one around here. I don't know where it is. That they have actually taken book 1 of Keeper of the Lost Cities and turned it into 2 graphic novels. This is part 1 of that, and it's already a pretty big graphic novel to read. So we're only going to be reading part 1 to discuss. I'm not even sure if part 2 is released yet or when the date is, but we will be doing Keeper of the Lost Cities graphic novel and kind of comparing it for the kids that have read both, but you don't have to have read the fiction story to be part of our discussion in Graphic Novel Book Club. Okay. Then we are doing Curveball. This was a last minute find for me, and I really liked it. A girl who is playing baseball, but also discovers role-playing games. So a lot of the kids like role-playing games, so I thought it was really fun to kind of throw Curveball in there. And I love these where the title has more meaning, where it's kind of a metaphor for other things in the story, not just a baseball curveball, which is kind of the fun discussions we get to have in Graphic Novel Book Club. Okay, next, everyone is reading. Okay, The Cool Code. I like this about a girl who develops an app that helps her know how to be cool. It's kind of a fun one. And then we have Aster and the Accidental Magic. I think this might have been one of the first ones I read this summer because it was requested by a few kids. And I really enjoyed it. So it immediately went on the list. And I have reasonings for the order that we do things, kind of trying to keep, there's a lot of fantasy graphic novels. So kind of trying to balance that with other things. So if a kid's not into fantasy, they're not getting like slammed with it constantly in a row, kind of balancing all of that out. And so for the kids who love their classics, next we throw in a classic turned graphic novel. So Anne of Green Gables, we will read this one this year and look at the unique way they turn this into a classic. And finally, we always, so far, this is only my third year, have ended the year with the same series that I'm now going to run out of because there's only 3 in the series. And that is the Explorer series. This is the third and final installment. This is called The Hidden Doors. And what this is the author who wrote the Amulet series asks other authors, other graphic, you can see how the artwork changes in this, other graphic novel artists to write a story with the concept, the hidden doors. So in all of these stories, there's going to be some sort of hidden door. And I really like these because there's Faith Erin Hicks is one of the authors in this one. They're short stories, and you don't see a lot of short story graphic novels. At least I haven't, except in this series. And so I'm excited. I always like doing these. We usually discuss the first 3 because one year I tried to discuss the whole thing in one meeting and did not work. We didn't even get to them all. So now we discuss stories maybe 1 to 3 and then 4 to 7. I think it is. It's on the schedule. No, we do 1 to 4 and then 5 to 7. And that's it. That is your whole year of graphic novels. So now just a few general updates. There are very, very sadly limited spots left in the graphic novel book club for the coming school year. For the first time, I allow current students to register for the fall. It was just getting really popular, and I hated the idea of a student who had been with me for 2 years suddenly losing their spot. So current students all got to register, and of course, they were also allowed to register siblings who had grown up, and a lot of spots filled. I did get to add another elementary school spot, 8 to 10-year-olds, onto the schedule, so that I know has a few openings, but the openings are very limited. So here's how it works. Right now, the current registrants, the current students are going to get the titles in the classroom, and then they'll have about a week if they want to withdraw, full refund. They can pull out, they can be done if the titles don't work for them this coming year. And then I'll know how many spots I have. On July 1st at noon, and I'll keep holding up the books as I'm talking for those of you who are kind of here a little late. On July 1st at noon, registration will open to the public. So if you go to my Outschool profile page, you'll see the class. You can click on it, and then it will be available to enroll. It is not available for the public to enroll until July 1st at noon. And that's when all the openings will have kind of worked themselves out. And then at that point, if everything is full, when you go to register, that is when you can contact me and be put on a wait list. Outschool has a wait list, but I have to tell you, I have not been impressed with how it runs. So I think I even have it turned off, and sometimes it still lets people use it. So I still keep my own wait list because that seems to be much more effective. So you can send me a message on Outschool saying I want to join your wait list. You can send it on Instagram. You can send it in email. And I keep a running list of people and the way they preferred to be contacted. And then when there's an opening, I typically at this point contact like 3 or 4 people at a time. I used to do one at a time, and then somebody wouldn't check their email. They wouldn't know, couldn't fill the opening. So at this point, when there's an opening, I'll contact about 4 names, and whoever happens to see their email and grab it can do it. And the other ones will remain. And, they'll be the next names I contact when there's another opening. All right, I think that's everything. So I'm kind of holding up all the other titles for those of you who kind of came in late, just so you can see what we're doing. It's a lot easier, of course, on YouTube because the titles are turned. I forgot to flip the camera on Instagram. You have to do it before you start the live, and I forget all of the time. All right, so if there are any questions, let me know. Or if your child is most excited about a certain title, you can let me know that too. I am definitely really excited. And tomorrow I am going to be sharing the monthly fiction book club titles. So I know that's a big deal for a lot of you out there as well, getting to see what we will be reading in our monthly fiction club. I will do that at noon tomorrow also. So are there any questions about fiction book club before I log off? Oh, I hope he does. I feel like it's so hard for me to keep track of who's gotten into different classes. So I might be thinking of someone else who was in my fiction book club. Um, but yeah, it's going to be really limited spots. So you might log in a few minutes before noon because sometimes, it goes through a little sooner or later to have those openings. But I will tell you this. Here's the good news. After I have the first class in September, I get to know the groups. And sometimes there's a group that's just really quiet and could use more kids in there to share, to talk. Because one of the things about me is I'm not going to make anyone have to talk. There are a lot of kids who prefer to remain quiet, who like to listen, who just occasionally share. Though I will say, as I was looking at the list this year, as kids have been with me for a much longer time, they're warming up. So even my quiet kids are sharing a lot, which I love, which I love. So I have to keep the group small until I know, because that is my goal, is that everyone can share who wants to. But definitely join the wait list. Because these are ongoing classes, people come and go throughout the year. Somebody's soccer schedule changes. Somebody has to move. Um, any of those things can happen, and openings happen all the time throughout the year. It's kind of rolling. So even if you're not in by the first meeting, a lot of openings happen within the first few weeks as I'm adjusting class sizes. And then they happen throughout the year. So definitely get your name on the wait list. Just send me an email July 1st, and that's when I will have started it. If you are on my email list, you will get an email reminder. So that's a good place to be. This is Book Mary. Oh, yay. I love leading the book club. Somebody saying that their son saw me in Squilt, where I led a book club this year on Charlie and the Chocolate Factory. I'm actually doing that book and movie club on Outschool this week, and it's been a lot of fun. So yes. Oh, somebody's saying their kid overshares. Love those kids too. I do. I love getting to know everyone's children, and homeschoolers rock. I will tell you that. They are just fun. Their vocabularies always astound me. You mamas doing such a good job. Yeah, I was really shocked this summer too that some of these titles had graphic novels. I think it is definitely a writing format that is growing. It's growing quickly. So all right, I keep them on this shelf, like in order that I teach them, because the kids will tell you a lot of times I'm like, wait, what are we reading next week? And I'll turn around and I'll look real quick. I should not be admitting that I'm that disorganized about it. But sometimes I've just gotten so caught up in the conversation and I've forgotten to prepare ahead, what we're doing the next week because I'm ready for that week. But I keep them all here. By the way, in the past, I've read in the past and all up here. So this class is helping me start quite the graphic novel collection. Oh, yay! She's seen most of them at the library. Good. Yes. Okay. So purchasing or getting books. Library is awesome. Get them at the library. You'll have the whole list for the year. So you could just like make a date in your calendar, like, oh, in mid-September, order all of October's books. In mid-October, order all of November's books so that you can get them from the library. Your kids do not need to write in them. We do talk about the ways that the graphics support the storytelling. So if you can get these or the even skinnier Post-its, that's what I use. In fact, yeah, look, well, sometimes I didn't. Here's an example with the skinniers. I mark pages that I want to talk about how the graphics are supporting the storytelling. And it would be fun for the kids to be able to do that as well, if they want to. So those little Post-its are really handy because before you return a library book, you can take them all out. Now, I own the books, so you can see, I'll turn for Instagram. You can see all these Post-its on the top. I just leave them in there because I figure one day I might cycle back in a few years. Yes, grab all the titles. And of course, my website, I have tons and tons of titles. I should make a list of all the ones I've ever done in a book club. But I think I have an ultimate list of 150 graphic novels. And honestly, some of the ones I found this year aren't even on it. There are so many. And it was my daughter who helped me love them. my second child, my graphic designer, that's what she has getting a degree in right now, shocker, is the one who helps me fall in love with this genre and really just see how amazing it could be. Oh, good. Somebody's already saying that I Survived the Titanic was a really good one to discuss after they read it. Yeah, and what I assume for many of you, and you don't have to, of course, but I assume a lot of parents are probably having discussions about these books at home, even after the class or in addition to the class. You know, you could ask your kid, "Hey, show me some of the ways you all discussed how the artwork is, supporting the storytelling in this book," or things like that. But absolutely, if because you get the whole list, you can even pull them in your history or what you're doing for the year, maybe add a little additional thing or two at home. So, like, if you have kids who are in the graphic novel book club, the 11 to 14-year-old, you could think about adding a little documentary or doing something else. You could probably even maybe find one for 8 to 10-year-olds. We had a Titanic display come to Raleigh. So that would be the perfect kind of thing that you could find like a visit to do at the museum. So all that kind of stuff you could do for any of these. With the bee, the way of the hive one would be another good one. The mind of homeschool mom is always, once a homeschool mom, always. So I'm always thinking, ooh, I would do this and I would do this. We actually visited here. They have like a bee place or something. I remember us visiting at some point in Raleigh. I would have loved to have done that with this book, The Way of the Hive. So I know how homeschool moms like to plan, which is why I spend the time to print it all out. So this is the 11 to 14-year-old list. This is, I don't want to show the fiction ones. This is the 8 to 10-year-old list. It has your breaks on there, the weeks that will be off. And a note to parents, while I have previewed these and have tried to pick things that I think will appeal to a wide audience, that I stay away from anything, other than maybe a little bit of maybe mention of the opposite sex dating. There's very little of that. You always want to check yourself. So there's a good reminder at the bottom to look at Common Sense Media, look at Goodreads, check all these titles. Again, like I said, if I thought that maybe it was a little scary or something, it has stayed with the older age group. You can always look at the class description to see the older age groups list if you want to look for some other titles too. All right. I think that is everything. I'm so excited. I can't wait to see everyone. Oh, I'm so glad that you have enjoyed the picks. Trying to still make it a variety so that everybody has at least a book they loved that year. And it's kind of fun when somebody has a book they really didn't love because those opinions are welcome. And it always makes for an interesting conversation. Like, why didn't you like this? And with a graphic novel, you get this like second layer to talk about because you might have liked this, or you may have really thought these graphics were really fun to look at, but the story was not for me. So it always adds a second layer. All right, everyone. I think I'm going to say goodbye. It's been pretty quiet over there on YouTube, so I'm going to end over there first and say goodbye.